Hi there everybody, my name is Kate and welcome to my channel, Fire Horse Academy. So a lot of stuff is coming through and I'm going to just kind of work through this channel as it comes through. Just another illustration of some really fun stuff that is coming through like a firecracker. So let's talk about it. If we think about our spiritual journey, very similar to driving a car, that's our avatar is driving the car. Most of us don't realize until, we get a little bit older and a little bit more bored and tired of the scenery and where we are and the conditions of our car, that we start looking around and perhaps notice that we've had a driver that wasn't us in the front seat. And what I mean by that is that it's our car, yet we've taken a back seat to how it's going to move through the byways, the highways and byways that it's going down. And when we do not have real full authority and autonomy and sovereignty in our own journey, in our own life, as our own person, migrating and moving our avatar, our car, the way that we want to, that means that we haven't broken away from whatever it was that was showing us how to drive. We haven't gotten out of that system, and there's many toxic codependent systems out there in which we're deeply enmeshed, and most of us understand codependency far too well, especially if you're hearing this and probably nodding and going, yeah, I got it, man. I do know that. I wrote the book twice. Looking to write a new one. So the thing that we can do, though, whenever we're thinking about our avatar and becoming an independent driver, right, we're going to be the person who takes over, is to look around and actually see, what drives me, what makes that, decision that the limo driver, the me driver, what makes the decision about that, or what's happening? Why do I feel like that decision is not truly mine? Who's wearing that ultimately? What system is wearing that expectation of me? And is there a face that goes with that? Is there an identity with it? Because those are the relationships where we're gonna want to talk, or at least have a conversation within ourselves about how much do I want to drive my car, or how much would I like to share my car with my mom and my sister and my children and my this and my that, my dog. Do I want to share the bed with everybody as well? Would I like to share my underwear? Would I like to share my shower? Would I like to share everything until I have nothing? Yep, that's what you want to do there. That's the system. It's a parasitic one, and it's codependency, at its finest. And understandable. However, once you understand and get it, it's time to start making the migration to kick the drivers out of the front seat. Because what happens when we allow the systems that are possibly motoring us around, in codependency they are, those systems or those people, they get in our front seat and they load their GPS, their route, their everything, and that's what's in the screen that we're going to look at when we get in our car, back in the avatar. We're going to get back where we see the windshield, through the windshield from our position, instead of from the back seat or on the right, or on the right and in the back seat. Damn. Out in the sidecar somewhere, some of us sometimes. So when we know that they are putting, their route in there, and we understand, oh, that's asking me to go down, roads, highways, and byways that I'm not really interested in, we can then, that's taking us agency and deleting that particular route that's for me, because pre-installed GPS routes that are already designed on the screen that I can see, that's not some mystery, that's not some that's a hidden contract for as long as you want to believe that that's the fate of where you go that day. It's just, well, that's what my map says. Maybe that's just a matter of saying that map is far from being complete, and it's got an already established route. Would you like to know how to create your own route that isn't pre-designed and goes way more places than just those few that your GPS seems to be stuck in those few? Did you want to go visit some other places too? Because you might not want to have pre-designed routes in your map system. Well, that ain't 444. That comes with dumping out the limousine drivers, the taxi drivers, the you drivers, the avatar annoyers and drivers of you, dump that stuff out, dump out the GPS system, and if you kindly ask the driver to, how about you take your system and you may ride next to me, and we can travel together in the same lane. Can you please remove yourself from my driver's seat? And if that starts talking back and getting, real upset, that's somebody that is part of a program, and for whatever reason they're helping you find the weak spot in you that still needs to address that program that you're trying to answer to, or that it's asking you to answer to, because that person wants you to stay in an old way that serves them, that serves the system of that, and it didn't serve your avatar to have a driver go in places you didn't want to go. Then it's okay to dismiss the chauffeur that doesn't understand. That is, you're not my chauffeur, you're my captor and my hijacker. That's what you are. This is not a vacation, you're not a chauffeur, and this damn sure isn't a limousine. For as long as you're taking to places that I don't want to be, that's not what any of this is. And sometimes it's a matter of just being told that, girl, that's not what that is. That's what it feels like it is. If it feels like a shitty ride, then it's a shitty ride, and we need to get out and figure out why. And when those programs and the GPS routes, the very specific way you got to do that, you should go this way, it's already pre-planned. I already did everything for you right here, it's just for you. Oh goody, thank you. When that's already all done, it takes away our creative skill, it takes away our zhuzh, it takes away our independence, and it takes away the awareness when we're saying yes in a bunch of different directions ignorantly. It takes away our full authority to truly be giving permission for everything that we are giving permission for. We need the entire, buffet of what's happening here in order for me anyway to make a decision and to come to some assessment. If I don't know all the options, then have I made, a free will choice, or have I made a very narrowed down, I'll paint this and picture this, shove this and cajole this exactly the way that it needs to, for you to feel like you have autonomy and you have, options. And really they're the options I'm willing to show to you, because you don't know yet that there's far more available to you. And that's the stuff that lives in the chauffeur's seat, slamming a GPS track, that will not get out of that position and understand that I don't need a chauffeur. And if you're in the role of parent, sister, sibling, spouse, child, boss, whatever it is, whatever that subordinate position is that's trying to be established here, that I'm somehow, in the back somewhere, being subordinate. This is my car. I don't ride as a kidnapping victim in the back of my car. I remove that threat, and I don't ever leave myself in positions where that threat would be threatening me some more. And if it threatens me out the door, it was a threat when it blew its way in and sat its ass down and asked me to believe its story again and again. And if this is in fact the ride that we're taking, and training me to know exactly how I'm going to get into the seat eventually and go with exact GPS coordinates of where I'm allowed to, because that's what that WAD wants to do. That's, everybody has to be given their free will opportunity to understand and, be served with the reality of, hey, are you aware that that's the way that's working? Did you want to travel the globe? Did you even know there is a globe? Did you want to know that the Truman thing, did you want to talk about that? Some people don't. And okay, well, cool. There are more people that are waking up and that absolutely do. So I'm happy to let you in on the secret that your avatar, your car, you need no chauffeur. You have one. If you don't feel like you have autonomy, you have chauffeur somewhere inside of you that, if you chase it down to an institution, a face, something, and start putting in some boundaries of how you want your car to travel and what kind of gas you're going to give it and what kind of, attention you're going to allow people to pay, and to somehow sabotage your vehicle or whatever it is. And when you dump out all those old systems of control from being the pre-programmed, this is the route you go, then you expand open and you come into your own GPS system, which is what will show on the screen of your life in front of you the very minute that you dump out all of the maps of places you ain't gonna go or that you don't want to go. If the route isn't going where you want to go, dump it out. And where do you go after that? Then you've got a blank slate with, where would I like to go? Where is that? And you go into your own GPS system which will always take you to the most joyous place of you. That's why it sucks when we have somebody install something else that changes our view of what we think we're supposed to do. That, oh, okay, I guess that's the way. And then we can't understand why. It's beautiful over there, isn't it? It's a gorgeous drive. Not really. It's dry, deserty, and it's boring as fuck. And I've been doing it for, I don't know, about, 25 or 35 or 40 million years, and it's just really boring. Oh, no, it's gorgeous. You'll love that. The soul understands and yearns for the journey beyond one solo trip, one way, in one little limited understanding. It yearns for more. That's the curiosity and the zeal of that source energy, that God seed, that infinite wonder of child magical within you and within me. That is that. It seeks to find itself, and it won't find itself for as long as somebody else is driving it around and telling it what it should be enjoying based on, what somebody else thinks is a great ride. Whether it's great to you or not is irrelevant. If it sucks for me, then I don't feel free. And that's a hostage victim, no matter how polite it is. Quiet bullies and polite bullies and, quiet kidnappings happened all the time. 11/11 in my world. I went all kinds of places because I didn't know that, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be talking about this, doing this, or hanging out, in a place that feels this, gross and nasty to me, compromising, my avatar and changing the value of it exponentially. Like I just drove it off the lot, pristine and clean, came over here into, what is this? Somewhere where they're going to spit on it and somebody else is going to drive it, and we're, knocking over liquor stores together and, doing crazy stuff. No thanks. I'm not interested in that. 11:44, me and my avatar, I get to decide because it's mine. And the idea that I'd have to kick someone else out of it and that they wouldn't leave willingly, it's not a huge shock considering somebody would plant their ass, inside my mind that hard anyway. However, if they're going to fight me about, excuse me, I'll take it from here, Bob, no thank you, I've got this. If people argue with me setting my own boundary, that tells me a whole lot about, oh, I see, oh, chauffeur, you have to leave me. This is time for us to part ways because I write my own maps, thanks. And, I'll consult the GPS system that I built my own little mapping system from in here, not the one that you engineered for me from over there, and have no idea because you didn't ask and don't care where I'd really rather be. 1, 2, 3, 4. Please move all your weird stuff away from me because I have some other place I'd rather be, and I do, and maybe you do too. And if that's true, then good for you. Good for you. Knockouts and bars as you do and make it look good. So anyway, take care of yourself and enjoy your day no matter what part of the day you're in. And remember to get within your skin because you're divine. It is so, so magical. It drives just fine. It just drives just fine. And if it's doing a little bumper car action here and there and looks a little grungy every once in a while, that's all right. Pretty it up, polish it up, and, take pride in those dents. Every one of the dents in my real car, I got pride in that shit because that means I earned it. There's some very specific things that happen that, however, I figured that out. It broke the front of my car kind of funny. It's all, mangled a little bit. However, it represents the same victory for me every time I come out and see my little mangled car and go, I bet I'll never make that mistake again. And I'm never worried about that mistake ever again because that is shit is still metal crunched and looking funny because that's not my priority. Is to let a chauffeur inside of me tell me that, oh my goodness, I should enjoy my victory. I don't ever have that parking issue again. So take it as a victory, friend, and kick that chauffeur out again and again. That would tell me that there's some reason why I can't consider that a victory for me, and a victory of walking away from a system where anybody would tell me that my story needs to look a certain way, my journey needs to go a certain direction, and that it needs to follow a certain route in order for another person to feel most comfortable with it. I didn't ask you to go with me, and if I'm not asking you to join me or demanding, that's the one, I can ask you to join me. However, me demanding that you join me, I'm not demanding. You don't want to go? Okay, well, I'm going to go either way, and your butt hurt because your car wants to go that way, then take your car instead of our car. It's not a group car and it's not a ride share. That's codependency, and you're going to need to separate out and go find yourself away from me and do your own journey. And when we're able to do that, and we know we can get in our avatar every morning, even when it's got some mangled metal on the front, there's a lot of places, in our bodies, our scars, our wounds, etc., that we don't have to celebrate, that or pathologize that we've been wounded. However, whenever I look at the fact that, yeah, I've gotten here, I'm coming up to a birthday, and the closer I get to 60, I'm not 60 this year, however, I'm not that far. And every year that I get just a little bit closer, I think, yeah, it really is just a number, because I feel better now than I did ever. The days just keep getting better. So the age thing, with dents and scratches, bumps, bruises, I mean, this is a body that's been through a few things, and I'm grateful to be alive. The fact that I still have an avatar, the fact that I still have a car, and it still runs, it still functions, and it has a brand new engine in it, baby. It operates just fine. It understands, and the GPS is integrated in the engine, baby, and it supplies a different kind of gas that has nothing to do with any of that in the past. So anyway, take care of yourself, and enjoy your day, as I said, and get within your skin, because that's so gorgeous. You'll love it when you get in there again and again and again. It'll feed and nourish you, my friend. So take care, and I'll see you again next time. Mwah. Bye, friends.